So preliminary questions are Childish Gambino and Candy.
Yeah. First question is about your candy.
Okay.
It says candy coated sour chewy bites. Now, if it is coated in candy, what is the it in question? Is more candy?
Candy coated sour chewy bites. What do you mean? What's the it?
Cause like, aren't sour chewy bites candy
The
as well?
sour chewy bites are the.
Candy coated candy?
Oh well, I guess they mean. I guess the hard candy would have been the way they should have said it.
Candy
Hard candy coated, but it doesn't sound as cool when you say hard candy coated. It just sounds better with candy coated. So I think they just made a marketing decision.
It's just weird because it's candy inside candy, and they don't seem to want to admit that.
It's not. That doesn't sound as good marketing wise. I'm sure when they got down there, like, all right, guys. So, what are we selling? Candy inside candy.
Candy with candy.
Yes, but that's not how we're going to present it.
Mom's not going to buy candy with candy.
Okay. So, what are we selling? Candy coated sour chewy bites. There you go, Jonathan. You're a winner. Jonathan.
All right, so I'm glad we cleared that up. Second preliminary question. This tune by Childish Gambino, This Is America. Good song, good meaning, timely. What do you think of it?
Yeah. There you go. Thank you. What do I think of the Childish Gambino's "This Is America"?
Loaded question, I guess.
So okay.
The music video is better than the single. That's what I'm starting out at.
The music video is better than the single. Okay. I would say my first initial reaction to, like, I don't feel like there's any protest song or any song with a really strong social message. Really strong social message that has a lot of replay value. Or there's very few. I won't say
it's
any.
So of its time?
It's because it's so of its time. Because it's so. Usually because they're so polarizing that, like, you don't usually sit down and listen over. Like, you don't watch Schindler's List over and over again. That's not, you know.
Yeah.
Like, stuff like that is a very.
If you do watch Schindler's List over and over again,
maybe you have to have a talk.
Yeah.
So, like, it's like the idea that there's just, you know, just this. There's no replay value to those songs usually in my mind. Now the message itself is excellent. The song is, I think the song is pretty decent. I think it's interesting, experimental, interesting in that way. But yeah, I think it was very much catered around the visuals.
I think you're right. I feel like the music video is great art, you know.
Yeah.
But the song itself, like, I saw a video of him singing it or whatever. It just seems like, I don't know, not much of a song really. Not catchy to me.
One of the statement wise, one of the better music videos. Catchy wise, I think it's one of those growing things.
Maybe so.
Yeah, but it's like I said, that's hard to get because you're not gonna listen to those over and over again because they're so intense. Like you don't, you know. Those things. I mean, usually people are trying to go to music to try and escape a little bit, or so when you have that such a strong social message. Usually is blunted by metaphor and a little bit more metaphor and analogy than the way he presented it. And when it's not, then like the times are changing. Like people play that song, but that's not a song you really just hear. Like it's not it's still considered a great song.
Yeah.
But but it's very strong. It's not even close to as strong as that one. And This Is America in terms of, I would say, in terms of political and cultural message, it's not even close to as black and white in that sense. But it's not a song you go to like, oh, let me just put this on to jam.
It's more like an important song.
Yeah, like when you pull that out, it's you're trying to make a statement or it's referencing something, but you don't. Yeah, those are not songs you take lightly.
Ice,
you treat you treat them with a lot of reverence. Those type of songs, and when you treat songs with a lot of reverence, you tend to, like with anything, it's a little bit more scarce, a little bit more.
Yeah, I think I would feel the exact same way, man. I like the song as like an art piece. I feel like it's really good art. But also, I'm not like trying to listen to the song. You know, I absorbed the message. I appreciate it, but also like it ain't the hot song of the summer for me or anything.
No, I mean, like you'd much rather listen to something that's like really repetitive and that keeps like just a little happy feel going for you for that.
Yeah, I don't know. That song's not very pleasing melodically to me. I think that's really what it is.
Oh yeah, well, that's a lot of that is
Nobody's
I
going
think
around
was
humming
purposeful.
You know, or at least I don't think anybody's going on.
I think
humming that shit.
the This Is America, like the cadence of that kind of will get stuck in your head. But other than that, no, like you're right. There's no like real instrumentation of musically that's going to get melody lines or anything like that that are getting harmonies that are get stuck in your head.
So, I don't know. It's good art, and for me, not a very catchy tune.
It's
But I'm sure they weren't trying to be catchy.
I think the music is meant to jar you.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Yeah, it's very jarring. I like that. Strong art. I really appreciate the work.
I mean, it's very graphic music video. I'm sure when we look back 10, 15 years from now, it'll be looked at as, one of those very noteworthy moments in cultural art history and such like that.
You know what I really liked about it? Maybe this is completely missing the point. Maybe this is where I'll start to piss people off or something, but I liked his dance moves, man. Strong.
Oh, yeah, you missed the point.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
it's
you're
not,
making this point.
It's not the only thing going on in the video, but it like the sarcastic almost kind of vibe to it, and
that's the. I mean, some of this message behind the song is that people only pay attention to the dance moves.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like,
and
as long as you can dance and like
it works. The fucking message is well made. I appreciated it a lot.
You're pretty much just standing up. Preach, brother.
Yeah. I really enjoyed it, man. You know, the last time I saw that kind of dance or whatever you call that, whatever he was doing, that speaks to me, man. That kind of dancing, that shit speaks to me.
It's like that was almost like a variation of like a pop and lock sort of.
It reminded me of this may be not great. It reminded me of kind of the beginning of the Cosby Show. Do you remember that? Where all the characters come out and they do their own little thing. It's no dance move you'd ever recognize, but they like shows their character a little bit. Yeah, that's what it fucking kind of reminded me of.
They're all just jigging around a
little
bit.
Yeah, man. That's the kind of shit I wish I could do. That's the kind of dancing I'm going to learn this year. Anyway, that's the opening thoughts.
What were we supposed to talk about? I forget.
The First Amendment. And we need to talk about Alex Jones and what's happened to him. Or Bill Hicks, whichever way you want to see him.
So Alex Jones. All right, so I'll admittedly admit this. I just know he's a quote unquote conspiracy theorist. I know that he's like outside the mainstream media. I know that people, consider him to be, somewhat controversial. That's about all I know about. And I know politically on the spectrum he's pretty far right. That's all I know.
Yeah. Yeah, I know a lot about him. I've been watching him for years and years.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because I love,
So were you bummed when the videos went down from YouTube?
I was, not because I haven't watched him in a long time, but back when. He had all these 9/11 conspiracies and all this kind of New World Order kind of stuff. I love that kind of shit. And I love the
I used to watch that. I mean, we used to just sit around and watch that all the time at my friend's house.
Yeah. He's very much... He's got this big, deep voice like this, like he's just been yelling his whole life.
Oh, yeah, he sounds like a southern, old Pentecostal preacher sort of.
He's always saying shit like, "We've got the documents! We've got the documents!"
I have seen clips where he just gets really red in the face.
Yeah.
His hair flies over the place. All over the place.
That's his thing. I
was like, man.
He's really interesting.
When did the Germans get a propaganda channel back? That's what it looked like from a distance.
Yeah, it is sort of like that. He's very, I don't know, he's not a crazy dude. But I don't know, when your bread and butter begins to be the outlandish stuff, it's hard to not lean into that, I think. My favorite conspiracy theory is about Alex Jones.
About him? Not from him.
No. Have you ever heard of a comedian called Bill Hicks?
Yeah.
Okay. Bill Hicks. There is a theory that Bill Hicks is Alex Jones.
Oh, they don't look that much alike.
But they do. I'm gonna pull up videos. I'm gonna
Can I
show
see?
you. I'm gonna show you a picture. They look pretty close. It's pretty
Ah.
bothersome.
Either well.
I really want it to be
So
true.
okay, so he has like a show, a podcast, right? And what else does he have? Does he have a radio
Alex-
station?
Yeah, he's got like a TV show. He's basically got like a news.
network, pretty much.
Yeah, a network. Yeah, podcast and show network. Dig this, dude. One's Bill Hicks, one's Alex Jones in these pictures.
Yeah, but
It's
Bill
not
Hicks
that
when he
far
got
out.
older.
It's pretty bothersome.
Yeah.
It's what I don't think that's real, but I want it so bad, dude.
Oh my god.
Because I want to believe that the CIA or somebody wants to pay news journalists and all this to say certain shit on TV, and we know that they've done that in the past. You know, right?
Yeah, that's. I mean, that's not. I just think like this Alex Jones guy, from what I understand, just went a bit too far on one of his things, and they finally found a reason to get to him.
No way.
didn't?
He's been far out for a long time. But now the president is tuned into him and stuff. They're trying to deplatform him because of that. Because the president's literally watching him. And like, we do not want the president to ingest that stuff. But
No,
if he
so
is
is
a
it that
government-
far out there?
Yeah.
It's really that far out.
Yeah, he said that like.
Do you see? Is there any truth in what this man is saying, or is it just
Sure.
like?
There's some of the stuff, he seems like he's not that far off when he's talking about all these rich people conspiring to take over the world and shit. That doesn't seem that far out. But the other shit like the Sandy Hook massacre, he says it never happened and all of the
Yeah, doesn't he
children
have
were
like
actors.
lawyers like harassing the families of like the children?
I don't know if he's got lawyers harassing him, but he's come out and said
That's the one story I did hear is that there's families who are upset because they've had to move because Alex Jones lawyers keep harassing them,
Oh, I
claiming
haven't heard
that they
that.
are not real.
But I do know he
parents.
was saying that like their kids are actors and not really dead and
Yeah.
that kind of shit. That's pretty dark.
that seems pretty dangerous.
That seems pretty dangerous and dark. And like, that's his thing. And, here's the question I think we ought to ask. He's been deplatformed. On
Yeah.
YouTube and whatever else, other sites, Spotify and these other places.
Spotify, iTunes,
Yeah.
I think.
They pulled him down, all of his content. Now, those are all individual companies, and they have a right to take anybody off their service
And-
if they like.
They all acted after someone. I forget who did it first.
I think it was YouTube that did it first.
Okay. But yeah, someone called everyone up guard and everyone's like, oh shoot, we can't have him up here anymore.
Yeah.
And just started taking him down. As problematic as all the things you have just told me that his stuff is,
It's worse, too. There's so
I
much.
think it's just as problematic or more so the censorship of that.
Completely agree. He is a huge problem in some ways because the stupid people don't know how to weigh information. So they hear
Discern
somebody like
between
that.
what is.
He was saying that there's like a child pornography ring at this pizza shop or something. In
Okay, so
Washington.
I did hear about that too.
Motherfucker went in there with a gun. Some other motherfucker showed up with a gun being like, we'll let the kids out or whatever, and shoots around into the fucking roof and all this. Just to like save children is what that person thinks they're doing.
Yeah,
Because of Alex Jones.
because of this disinformation in part that he's disseminating.
So it's dangerous, but also, boy, the First Amendment is a real thing, and it's like, I understand a private company being able to say like, we don't want that shit on our network, or YouTube doesn't want that on their, whatever's.
Yeah.
I get that, but at the same time, it's pretty slippery slope. Kind of.
Okay, so that's now at this point, like these private companies, they have a lot of power because you pretty much Spotify and iTunes pretty much hold a monopoly on podcasts.
Yeah.
Like those three spot between Apple and Spotify. Where else? Google,
Yeah.
which is
Maybe
YouTube.
YouTube. Yeah.
YouTube is Google. Google owns YouTube. So the fact that they pulled them down from YouTube, they're not going to have them on Google Play services.
Yeah, that's probably right.
So like those three, people control a lot of content, and the ability to just censor someone at the snap of their fingers is That's probably like
It's scary, dude.
What if someone gets in control of those companies? Who like right now the people who seem to share my ideals are in control of those companies.
Yeah.
What happens when they don't share my ideals?
Yeah, or they just they're getting net neutrality questions are coming up, and they want to slow down your website maybe.
This website over, yeah.
That kind
Alex
of stuff.
Jones has to pay triple to get his stuff
Right.
broadcast. I got to do the same.
Yeah, yeah. So that's definitely part of the future. There's going to be a big battle coming around that.
That's very problematic.
Mm-hmm. For dudes like us who make a living putting out content, that's a real problem.
I mean,
we're in the age of the free platform right now, and it's beautiful, but it ain't gonna be forever.
So, I mean, unless someone makes a dedication to doing that, but the money behind not doing that is huge.
Mm-hmm.
Like monetizing the internet in ways that are harmful to, the First Amendments, and people are talking about like First Amendments and not First Amendments because it's a private company. Okay, yeah, I can understand that. At the same point in time, there's certain like services, public services that are regulated by the government because they are that important for people to have. Yeah. And I would argue that social media is going to start to get into that realm.
I think so too.
Same as electricity, gas, internet, all those things are regulated by, TV, all those things are regulated by the government. And I would suggest that, at least free reigning access to those things is maybe starting to fall in that line, because you see what they do in China. They censor Google and Wikipedia and all those things. That's a slippery slope.
Yeah, that's dangerous. And putting the government in charge of the internet, maybe not the right answer, but making it publicly available to everybody.
No, but making it so putting the government in charge of limiting the restrictions that other people can put on the internet. If that makes sense. So making the government have some sort of watchdog where Comcast can't just charge you 3 times as much to get to Google because they want to flood you to Bing.
Yeah, that's net neutrality.
Yeah.
I believe in that for sure.
And or at the same time that YouTube can't pull something and just because they disagree with its political stance.
Yeah, it's a tricky issue because I don't think it's right to tell a private company that they have to work with certain clients or whatever.
That is true. But at a certain point,
the whole thing,
is not gas and electricity, aren't they not private companies?
Yeah.
But they're government subsidized in some way. Mm-hmm. And I feel like maybe YouTube and Facebook and all those things might need to fall in the same realm of that public service realm. Mm-hmm. And this is coming from someone who hates government oversight and who would limit it in every single way, shape, and form if possible. But private companies are starting to show an inability to regulate themselves in a way that is good for the people.
Yeah, it's bad news that they pulled Alex Jones. Those ideas belong in the marketplace, Because it's like, how do you know that you have a good idea unless you could see somebody who's got a bad idea?
It's just the whole, it's the whole free flowing of information, the trial by of your peers, But the idea that, three executives at 3 companies can just, no.
Not that guy.
And, that could happen to any one of us. At any point in time that we start to say something that someone does not agree with. And that doesn't seem necessarily, it's the government's job to protect the people and the rights of the people. And it does seem like that is the best of.
Yeah, you don't beat bad ideas by silencing them. You beat them with better ideas.
Yeah, but then again, it could be a slippery slope regulating that.
Yeah,
I mean that the same could be argued about just stepping into private companies' business, but we already do that.
Yeah, but if you have a Nazi website, and they want to talk about all the Nazi shit real positively, it's still not right to turn that shit off. That's the argument we're making.
Yeah.
It's fair to say anything in America. Now, the thing about the First Amendment, here's what I guess think about it. You definitely have the right to speech, but you don't necessarily have the right to be heard.
That's where the other thing comes in. So the First Amendment protects the speech, but it doesn't protect. But when I start to,
It doesn't mean people have to listen to you or that anybody has to give you a platform.
so now you're getting into other things where it's not even about First Amendment, talking about just the idea that so much power rests with three people. It's a little bit of classism, a little bit of like so much money can control that much information, that much the narrative on everything.
Yeah.
Just because they have the money.
Yeah, you
And
can control the national narrative if you get to decide who the loud voices are.
And that's problematic.
That is. And it's problematic that the president is listening to Alex Jones. That's weird.
I didn't know he was listening to him.
He's an ass. The president is a fucking asshole and an idiot. And, you know, man.
I didn't even know he was listening to the dude.
It's just dangerous. And that, we've expressed ideas about Trump before, an interesting time in history and all this.
Yeah.
I think it's a really exposing and beautiful thing that we're seeing in America right now. The reason Trump got elected and all this stuff,
Oh man, that everything is coming to light. You're starting to see everybody's true character.
Yeah.
I'm like, whoa, really? All of y'all thought that way.
Yeah, it's that, and then it's like, you see what it's like when there's a Republican in the White House, and the, comics don't like it, and, they are obviously against him and shit like that. It's never been so obvious. When you're watching Jay Leno in the 90s,
well, I don't think it's just the fact that he's a Republican.
Well,
I think it's more to do with everything that he's like. Because George W. Bush was in office. Yeah, late night hosts would make fun of him, but it wasn't like
this. All presidents get made fun of. That's just how it goes. Obama got made fun of. Clinton got really made fun of. George W. really got made fun of.
Yeah.
George because he kind of talked funny and shit like that. Clinton because of all this sex scandal shit. And, he did Burger King or McDonald's or whatever the fuck it was. It was all kind of like cute, But nowadays, they're basically being like, lock him up.
Yeah, this is they've completely changed because I feel like they feel like there is a certain line has been crossed.
Yeah.
Like there is it is something that even comics, they do what they do to either deal with pain or to bring light to certain issues, or comedy is usually used as a vehicle though.
Yeah.
But this is something where I guess they don't even feel like the vehicle needs to be have tinted windows, where it just needs to be transparent, and where you just need to see exactly what's going on, because they do. Yeah, they're not, and I think a lot of them feel bad because they're taking the blame, like the late night hosts, because they were just like chumming it up with him while he was running for office and making a joke out of it, and they sort of normalized it. And,
I see.
And a lot of late night hosts have taken heat for that, and they're like, all right, well, I gotta take responsibility for that. And
I'm glad, I guess, that they feel like they need to take some responsibility. But boy, nothing. What Trump was saying when he was getting elected was, "Oh, the media is against me. The media is against me," and like, boy, that that to his people that are watching TV all over the place, and everybody's making fun of their president, and like really like. Not just saying, oh, his policy's bad, or he may have lied, but saying shit like, oh, he's ugly, and he's got stupid hair, and he's fat, or whatever. It's like, if that were a woman, you would say, oh, how dare you say she's ugly or fat or something. But it's like they're doing a lot of the stuff that they claim to be against. If Clinton got in the White House, and Rush Limbaugh comes on and goes, oh, she's a fat, ugly bitch. You know what I mean? Dude, he'd get roasted. But they say that shit about him all the time. I mean, literally, Bill Maher says he's a whiny little bitch on, like, every show. So it's just I don't believe that we're handling it very well. There's like a more what's the term I'm looking for? A statesmanly way to deal with this kind of stuff. You be the adult and not be the name calling, not be another name calling kid in the fucking schoolyard. You know.
I think the reason why you're seeing this, and I'm not disagreeing with you at all, just diagnosing. I think the reason why you're seeing this though is that people thought that that was the way they were going to do things during the election, and then he got elected.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, that apparently didn't work. Maybe we just need to be blunt and obvious about where things are at. And like you said, I don't think necessarily it's the right way.
Yeah, and I don't pretend to know really what the answer is. It just seems like, dude, all his supporters are looking for the bad guy.
The problem is that when lines were crossed, and when lines are crossed, and do you feel like you can't go back? People just keep crossing lines. Like it just keeps escalating and escalating and escalating and escalating, and it really would have helped if people who said they were about certain things had stayed true to those certain things instead of getting bought off. And anyway, and to make that less ambiguous, I do mean very much like a lot of the, especially Christian base in the Republican area, that was able to just kind of, their base was always supposed to be on morals, and it seemed to be bought simply on the idea of getting a certain political frame in there, a certain political setup in there, and because of that, because they decided to cross that line, I think you see just an escalation of, well, if they can cross that line, why can't we?
Yeah.
And not that is right, because it should be something. It should be someone holding themselves to a higher standard. Well, just because you cross that line doesn't mean I have to too. But unfortunately, it was just a domino, and
it was so sad to watch.
Just you just watch them all fall.
I watched so many angry people come on, especially my Facebook feed during that election, and just talk about how like Trump was, God's choice, and like, how dare you judge him for things he'd done in the past? God forgives people and shit. Then you bring up the Clintons and they go, oh, Bill Clinton gets his dick out all the time in this. It's just like, it was obviously impossible to reason with them, and that, I guess, turns out a lot of them were fucking bots and like Russian operatives and shit.
Well, and I don't even think, I think the people I've been talking to are not bots. I know that. And the people I've been talking to, it's just, that's how, people will rationalize anything to just feel the way they want to feel. And I think that's right. Very telling.
That's right. Yep, that's right.
Because that just tells you that's the way people want it to feel.
Have you ever seen that dude Jim Baker on YouTube? He's this older fella, televangelist guy. He
does yeah. I was gonna say, it sounds like someone my grandma used to watch.
Yeah, totally.
Okay, yeah.
The freeze dried food buckets for the apocalypse and all this.
Okay, yeah.
It's
that
awesome.
All right.
It's sad, but it's super funny, and those same people that are like, the apocalypse is coming, I need a 20-gallon thing of freeze dried broccoli and cheese soup so I can live through the apocalypse. Those people are the very people that are like, they all voted for Trump by the numbers, apparently. Everybody that's buying those buckets is also voting for Trump. It's like making the apocalypse happen so that their food buckets like mattered. They're like, see, I did good. I got my brownies and broccoli cheese soup for the rest of time. 5 gallons worth of broccoli cheese soup.
Yeah, I mean it's self-fulfilling prophecy sort of thing, and well, I mean these like I said, it's just you have to have a certain set of standards, and you have to live by that no matter what situation comes up.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, I mean, a lot of people don't develop that. So I think that's why the voting age is 18. And a lot of people don't. But interesting enough, all the young people went probably the more reasonable way. Most of the young people went the more reasonable way. but, but, like I said, you reason whatever you want to reason to feel and go the way you want to feel. And these, you know, that's something that's been entrenched in a long time.
Yeah, it's a strange. The only reason it seems like any Republican ever gets elected is the Electoral College anymore.
Mm.
You know, and it just seems like it's kind of almost rigged in their favor in some ways. I don't really know what I'm talking about, but that shit I think is all true.
Well, if you think about so the places that have a whole lot of density in terms of certain people, these places that go vastly blue, for instance, those are high population areas. Those are places with a larger proportion or percentage of minorities.
Yeah.
I mean, it's pretty much gerrymandering at its finest. It's like crowd all these people into one area, and then even though they all voted, we'll count the vote, but we're just going to count the district as one.
Yeah.
And so when it comes down to it, you're really just making it just one big one rather than the thousands of ones it really is because it's more convenient. And that's what I mean. There's people have been rigging elections like that for years in this country. For years.
No, that's right, man. In Texas, when I was in high school, the Republicans were really trying to redraw the district lines to make it even easier to win.
Have you ever looked at some of the district lines?
Yeah.
It's so ridiculous. Like when you really start looking at there's some things where there's like an island where there's a district and then there's another part of that district all alone in another part of a district, and you're like, okay, like they clearly like just sectioned out the lower income area, included it with this district, so they all counted as one. Like it's clearly, rigged. And when you really start to look at it, it's like, wow.
Yeah, and in high school, I was in the speech and debate team, and we were keeping up with that story. And what happened was the Republicans were forcing a vote on it, and they had the numbers to pass it, so they were going to force these crazy new lines or whatever, new district lines. And so the Democrats just didn't show up to the vote, and there weren't enough people there to make quorum, like the baseline number you need to have vote. They didn't show up, and so it's just like, nah, fuck you, we're not gonna vote on this. None of us are coming to work today. Wow. They did it a couple times, I guess. It's pretty awesome. But it's dark, dude. It's dangerous. That kind of shit.
And people don't, if you, what's the best way to put this? It can get discouraging if you were to look at I hate when people say, "Oh, we're in a Democrat," we're in a Democratic republic. This is more of a republic than a democracy. Yeah. This is not like a democracy is when all those votes that were gathered up in the same district would count as equal votes, and the popular vote would win. But it's a republic where we elect officials who then elect the president, and that part of the process has always been real kind of shady, or in the fog and the weeds and the clouds until lately, because people have been like, oh, wait a second, what's this whole electoral college thing, and what's all this, and now people are starting to put a little more research in it. It's not a democracy. No. And I wish people would stop saying that.
No, that's pretty much right. And it's a shame too, because with the internet, you could really accomplish a democracy. The question is, would you want one? because we also think that at least 25% of everybody's an idiot.
Yeah.
Irredeemable idiot. I believe that's
That's
true.
what the republic is supposed to.
Protect against.
Yes.
Yeah, that's right.
But then when you start electing part of the 25% into the republic, it's what are you doing then?
No, you're fucked. You're Fucksville. You go to war every single time. You lower taxes every single time.
All this is a direct problem. All this is directly related to our education system. If we would have educated people properly,
That's right.
then you have the proper filtration system to get the republic that you need to elect the leaders that you want. But no, we left everybody stupid because we didn't put enough money into our education system, and we wanted to privatize it and use it for gain rather than realizing how important it was to the entire community. And so now we have a bunch of idiots on our hands.
That's right. The people that keep cutting the educational budget, I believe part of that motivation is exactly what you're talking about. Because stupid people are easier to talk into stuff that they don't understand. They want to let somebody else do the thinking or whatever.
It's
easier to get elected by stupid people.
Ridiculous how much we charge for education.
Yeah.
And we put that high premium on it because we don't want people to have access to it.
Yeah, it's
education. It's the same way people. It's the same way slaves were treated when in captivity. Limit their ability to read, and you enhance your ability to hold people captive.
Catholic Church did that to basically the whole world for a long time. In like the Dark Ages and shit, normal people couldn't read. They weren't allowed to learn.
Yeah, because when you start learning things, you're like, oh, this guy up here is dumb.
Yeah, or at least like you could have your own opinion and be a challenge to, the powers.
And that's what they. That's the biggest fear. I think that's what it comes down to. And that's why we have the current situation we have. It's because we've just been deliberately and consistently and systematically stupidifying our entire population.
Yeah. Yep, I think that's something, dude. And I hope that I'm not one of the stupid ones. But how would I know? Because to know that you are stupid requires the exact same information that it would to not be stupid. See? So you can never know if you're stupid or not.
I think we're gonna I'm gonna ponder on that, and we'll leave. We're gonna maybe open next episode with that question. But for now, my name is Gray.
I'm Ando.
This has been another episode of the Late Weekend Show, and you guys have a great night or evening, day, morning, whenever you listen to this. Peace.